Hello and welcome to Jeremy's Yorkshire allotment adventures on what is a very muggy day here down on the allotment. It's well, it's quite humid. I feel a bit, well, ugh, do you know what I mean? So I hope you're well. I hope you're sitting comfortably. I hope you've got your feet up, got a cuppa in hand, and well, once again, welcome to Jeremy's Yorkshire allotment adventures. Well, here I am in the area that I've got lots of different things happening. I've got I've got my sweet corn, which is doing really well in some areas, very strangely, and I've got a very rogue potato which I've left. I haven't shunted on really because it's massive. I've got some carrots in here. I've got some sprouts, which is what I'm here to talk about actually, because they've been doing really well. And then I came down yesterday morning, and every single one has had all their leaves eaten. It's not snails, it's not slugs. I know that for sure. But what could it be? Now then, I think it's the birds. I think they're the culprits, and that's why I've had to net. Because I've got a very young magpie who's very, very cheeky. I've got a blackbird as well who comes down and digs all my pathways up. And we've got two pigeons in the trees. And they're always hanging around. And I wonder whether it's them. So I've netted it now in the hope that I'll save the sprouts. What I'm going to do is take up the ones that are in the ground, because in here I've got some rescue sprouts, ones that I've just kept on the side. These were outside for a while and they got attacked as well. They got eaten. They've been in the greenhouse and they're recovering nicely. So now I've got the netting in it, I can replace. And also I have some more backups. I've got this one here, and there's 3 or 4 dotted around the place that haven't been attacked. So they'll go in my second lot, and then I'll put, as I said, the others back in the greenhouse for protection. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well, not brilliant, but you know, the netting is up. While I'm here, behind me are my strawberry plants. And I don't know whether you know, last time we were on, I put a load of coffee grounds down to try and stop the woodlice. And you know what? It's been a massive success. None of my strawberries since have been eaten by woodlice or slugs or snails, from what I can gather. I do pick every day. I've been very lucky again today. I picked another 10. There's a couple more ready to ripen, but that'll be tomorrow's job. But yes, they're doing really, really well. And well, it's just so lovely. There's one down here laying on the ground, not being touched at all. But so coffee grounds win, woodlice don't win. That is such a result. Well, here I am inside the greenhouse and it's absolutely boiling. I have to put my temperature gauge in because I keep the door closed at all times now, and that's covered in plastic. So it becomes a real hot house, because these are my peppers. This one here and this one. And this one has its first little pepper on it. It's got lots and lots of flowers, so fingers crossed we're going to get loads of peppers. Got my first one on. Of course, they start green and then they change into the colours. I don't know whether it's green, yellow, red, I can't remember, or green, yellow, orange. It goes, so however long you leave it, the colour will change and they become sweeter and sweeter, apparently. It's funny, isn't it? I don't like eating the green ones, but I'll eat the coloured, the orange and yellow ones and the red ones, even though it's the same plant. So yes, these are doing really well. I water intermittently because I want their roots again to go down as deep as I can. Behind it, and you can't see, so I've taken a photograph, and here's the photograph as proof. We now have our first flowers on our loofah plants. And again, the leaves look like cucumbers, squashes. Speaking of squashes, we have at this side, and they're doing really well actually, we have our butternut squash. So fingers crossed, these leaves here produce some lovely butternut squashes. And it's the first time I've grown squashes. What I'm going to have to do now is build a frame out of a string for all of these now to be able to climb up, and hopefully we'll be dangling down lots and lots. And I've only got 2 here. There's a little one over there that's taking slowly. But I think at the moment, 2 will be enough. If I get 1 loofah off, I'll be really, really happy. Phew, boiling in here. I'm going to go and sit on my banking. One of the funny things about filming is that I often sit down, start to talk, and at times I've done, you know, 3 or 4 minutes straight through, and you get up and you press the button and you go, oh, I wasn't recording. So it's an up and down thing all the time because my camera is reversed, if you know what I mean. I'm using the front lenses uh, on the front of the camera and not the screen camera. So I used to do it when I first started actually because I could see myself. Whereas now I can't see. I don't know whether I'm recording, but I am. So I've been up and down about 3 times. Also, what happens is, as well, like it did this morning, I film everything and I forget to actually check it after I've filmed it because I filmed 3 sections this morning, so I've just had to refilm, and none of it had sound on. The part that connects to this, I don't think was in the camera properly, and so when it doesn't make that, it's the camera microphone that picks me up, so I sound like I'm in the next field rather than sounding like I do now. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on. Speaking of rabbiting on, I've got my carrots here. Well, a carrot, and I've let it go to seed, and it is one of the most beautiful, architectural, stunning flowers that I've seen. They're amazing. I'll take a close up underneath. It is just beautiful. They're delicate, they're sensational, they're just fantastic. And all that from a carrot, would you believe it? Absolutely beautiful. You can see why in architecture sometimes that they'll look at the structure of a plant in order to design something. I talked about Joseph Paxton dinner last time, and he designed the Crystal Palace for the Great Exhibition in 1851. And there's rumours that there'd been a competition and no one well, they'd entered, but their structures were massive, and we know Paxton was working with glass and all those things at Chatsworth House. And I was in a meeting, a disciplinary meeting apparently, of a worker that worked on his railways, and because he was there, he was chairman, so he had to be there. And this meeting was ultimately boring apparently, and there was a napkin on the table, and he famously apparently drew his idea for the Crystal Palace on the back of the napkin, and he sent that to Prince Albert, and thus the Crystal Palace was born. Amazing, isn't it? But where did he get the idea from? The back of a lily pad, because they've been growing lilies, giant lily pads at Chatsworth House, and he turned one over, and on the back was this amazing structure, and that's where he got the idea, from plants. Brilliant, isn't it? Now then, my rabbit absolutely loves these leaves on here, which is great. We have an assortment of wildflowers. Some have come up, some haven't. Those white poppies with the red cross, nowhere to be seen at the moment, unless, of course, these monster things at the back, these huge things here, I haven't a clue what they are until they open up. They do look slightly poppy-like. These look poppy-like, but then I just found this packet of seeds, and it says Tagetes, 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 golden gem. Apparently, it says it's like a miniature marigold, but there's not much miniature about them, and it does look identical to those. So maybe I'm not very good on flowers. I'm all right with vegetables, but flowers I'm rubbish at actually. And we've got some gladioli coming. Now, speaking of vegetables, why don't we go across to see Darren in Wakefield? And Darren, you've only had your allotment. Well, it's coming up to your 1st year anniversary. Can you believe it? 1st year. And you've done amazing well. In fact, so much so, you're way ahead of me here on the allotment. But you did say in a text, having sent some photographs, that you'd got all your stuff in early and out early. And some of your allotment holders nearby to you were only just starting to put some things out. And well, that's what happens a lot of the time. We are a bit slower in getting our stuff out. You were saying that a lot of the allotment holders don't put anything out until they know that the frosts have gone, and it could be as late as now. You know, we're heading towards, well, we are at the end of June as we speak. So let's go to Darren and look at what you've got. Just incredibly sweet corn, looking good. You've got your furry bits on top. Now you were asking actually how can you help the sweet corn develop, because they're self-propagating, and the wind helps. That's why you plant them close together. So when they're in the wind, well, you can take the top bits off, be very, very careful, and rub in between the leaves where the sweet corn are starting to grow. They're called silks. In that bit there, get it rubbed, and you can pollinate, self-pollinate your own sweet corn. If, as you say, they're not really in a place where they get much wind, but they're looking amazing. And then, of course, you've got all your other vegetables. You're picking cucumbers, tomatoes are doing brilliant, and then you've got all sorts of things. Now, in a moment, well, I've just come from my greenhouse, haven't I? And we were talking about my butternut squash plants. Fingers crossed they're going to come up. I think these are squashes, aren't they? Nice and round. But what's fascinating to me is but they're part of the squash family, obviously, and the leaves are almost identical to my butternut squash. They're almost identical to the loofahs, and I think they look very similar to cucumbers. So it's just fantastic the way the leaves are, isn't it? Just brilliant. Well, congratulations with everything you're growing, Darren. And you said you're going to send us a video. I look forward to seeing your video of your plot. Remember, Darren, please, if you can, film it landscape, because it really helps me when I put it into the program. Because if it's upright portrait, then have two black lines down either side. So landscape, please. I will send you another message to remind you. But yeah, I look forward to seeing your update. It's incredible. You've worked so hard to clear everything there. I've got to do a bit of hard work because I've noticed that the bindweed is back, and I think it's because I've messed about with the banking. I've dug it all over again this year, and rather than just left it under, it was all covered over with all sorts of things. So I've got to go through now and find all the bindweed and get that sorted out. It's coming in from that side as well, and so we're going to have to try and stop that. So that's my big project for the winter, is to dig through my metre squares. I might even be more meticulous and go down to a foot square and dig that out to make sure there's nothing in there at all. Sieve it, and we'll get to the bottom of this bindweed. We will get to the bottom of it, but I'm not having it on my allotment. Once again, thank you very much for watching Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures, and well, we'll see you next time here on hopefully a warm day. Isn't it wonderful? It's a bit muggy here though. Still nice. Ta-ra for now.